Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more Reddit stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting that like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too. And let's crack on with today's first story. Much love, guys. Now today's first story comes from Tall Month 9107 and it says, "Am I the arsehole for threatening my father to kick him out with his family? I'm 25 male. Not from the US, not looking to get into legalities. I know where I stand on that. Some context. My father married his now wife when I was 15. She was really pushy with me because the relationship with her own daughter was almost non-existent. My father did nothing and I ended up moving with my grandpa, father's father, a few months later. Grandpa passed away suddenly when I was 17 and I inherited all his properties. Instead of moving back with them, they moved with me to Grandpa's house. I left when I was 18 to go to college and I go back home a few times a year. I let them stay there rent-free as long as they don't touch my room and Grandpa's office. The house has 4 rooms. Now, I got a call from him telling me that I need to clean my room out because they plan to turn it into a nursery room. Apparently, my father's wife got in touch with his daughter because she is pregnant and doesn't have a place to stay. I denied his request and reminded him who owns the house they are staying in and better not touch the rooms unless they want me to kick them out. I told them there is an empty room. She can stay there, but she claims it's too small for both of them. I said that if they have a problem, they can go back to his own place. There she can take my room. I didn't know if he still has the house. I think I've been more than reasonable, but my uncle, father's brother, who doesn't have the best relationship with my father, called me to say think about it and not kick them out. So I wonder, am I the arsehole? Of course, absolutely not the arsehole, and it's honestly wild how some people can live rent-free in someone else's house for years and then still have this level of entitlement. You were gracious enough to offer another empty room, but apparently it's too small, which basically again translates to we need the bigger room because we feel entitled to it. Bloody cheeky bastards. You know, it's incredibly easy to not act entitled when someone is letting you live somewhere for free, respecting their boundaries, using the available space, and just basically showing some gratitude towards them. It's really not that hard. But International Job says not the arsehole. It's your house. You let them stay there rent-free on the condition that they don't touch those 2 rooms. I think that's more than fair. They're getting a little overly comfortable with what you are so generously allowing them to do. Even if they agree to back off of this, I think it's way past time they start paying you for living in your house. Make it abundantly clear you're doing them a favor by allowing them to live there. Another commenter says not the arsehole. Talk about kicking a gift horse in the mouth. They stay for free, so they are banking all that money. They have one rule: do not touch these 2 rooms. They invited someone to live with them. I'm going to guess without permission, and only called to ask you to move your things from your house. Wow, just wow. The audacity of those people. If I were you, I'd task someone that you hire each week or month to visit the property and report back to you. Huge Industry says not the arsehole, you've been very generous until now. To people who were not too kind to you when you were still a teenager. If the stepsister moves in, then you may never get the house back. Oh my god, what if the baby's father gets in the picture and wants to move it also? Yikes. Have they paid you rent? Have you ever asked? This is not their house, and I'm glad you made that clear to them. If your stepsister needs a place, then she and her mum can deal with it. Opie replied saying, I've never asked them for rent. I am and was comfortable with just having them watching the house, but yeah, that seems to change now. And one more comment from One Piece Nick, who says not the arsehole, stand your ground. If they want your stepsister to move in and take up more space than you're willing to give, then they should at least pay market pay rent. They have lived rent-free for so long that they should be able to afford supplementing her rent for a good while. Eviction notice if they break the rules. Just think of how much money you could have saved if you had rented out the place, or how you could probably afford a great mortgage to buy a place where you live now if you sold your house. They don't seem to recognize how grateful they should be for living rent-free for so long. Ask your friend to start checking the place once a month again. Opie replied saying, I'm pretty sure my stepsister is in the house already, although not in my room. but I'm going tomorrow morning to check the house myself and talk to them. So at some point later, Opie comes in with their first update and says, "The day I wrote the original post, I called Mrs. Lawyer to accompany me to the house to deal with this in a civil manner. Well, Saturday we went in the morning with the paperwork. Once we arrived, I tried to open the door. I got the pleasant surprise that my father had changed the locks. Big mistake. We walked through the door and he told me that until I changed my mind, he wasn't going to let me in. I told him that I wasn't planning to kick them out and I was there to solve this the right way, but if he wasn't going to let me in, I was going to do it my way. He didn't let me in. On my way to the police station, my uncle called me and said that my father called him in order to make me change my mind, but he wasn't going to do it and will support whatever I decided. In the police station, Mrs. Lawyer explained the situation to them, and they came with us so I could evict them without issues. Once there, the police spoke to them and told them that they had to let me in and get their things out as soon as possible. I hired a moving truck for them. My father tried to fight, saying that he sold his house and doesn't have a place to go, and he also claimed that he was the rightful owner, but the dimwit doesn't have any paperwork to prove it. In a last attempt, he brought up the fact that my stepsister is pregnant, but unfortunately for them, she's in the early stages and doesn't matter either way. After their circus was over, the removal of their things was quick. Most of the things in the house are mine, except for the things they have in their room and my stepsister's stuff. I'm currently in the house and plan to stay here for the next few days. I've changed the locks and I'm installing security cameras. I talked to my girlfriend about moving here, and she's more than happy to do so. I'm going to talk to my boss about the possibility to work from home, but it's not a real problem if I can't. Without having to worry about the house, figuring out the rest is easy. That's pretty much it. I think I covered everything. Thank you for taking your time with this mess I used to call family." So it was around 6 weeks after that post, Opie came in with a new one that was titled, "My Father and His Newfound Entitlement." My girlfriend found this space and asked me to share our last encounters with my father, so here it goes. We hadn't heard from him until a few days ago when he showed up at the house. I wasn't there, but girlfriend was. My girlfriend told me that my father was there to tell us that since we are now living in the house, we have to host them for the Christmas holidays. Not only that, he gave her a list of the food they wanted and gifts they expect to receive. My girlfriend told him to go away before she called the police. I again thought it was over, but I was wrong again. Yesterday we received another visit from him. Apparently he called my mother to invite her to spend the holidays with us. She blew him off and told him she will take us, girlfriend and I, to Europe for New Year's Eve. He had the balls to demand she take them too. My mother just hung up. Mind you, this was the first time they had spoken after divorcing 16 years ago. He came to the house to demand I convince my mother to take them too, or that we pay for them to go with us. At this point, his attitude stopped being disappointing and turned comical. My girlfriend and I just laughed at him. We laughed so hard that we didn't notice when he left. I can say that we didn't have the best relationship, but he wasn't entitled. I mean, it was already clear why my grandfather, his father, was completely disappointed in him. But it seems that he wants to take it to another new level. I don't know if he will stop, but I hope he does for the rest of the year. Edit. I have a security system. There are cameras everywhere. I know if he is there. I have other properties, my tenants, and people close to my girlfriend and me. Even my neighbors know what to do if my father approaches them in my name. I doubt he will try to break in when we're not here. When I evicted them, my lawyer and the police were more than clear that he could face serious problems if he tries to enter the house or any other of my properties. Unfortunately, in my country, any kind of restraining order is pretty much useless. It is more helpful to call the police right then and there, and he knows I have no problem calling them. Someone said to OP, "Is your father just broken?" OP responded saying, "I agree that he is broken, but I can say that he is by his own hand and not by pressure of any kind. He knows what he is doing. I was basically raised by grandparents, his parents, and they didn't raise me any different than him or my uncle, who is another case. It baffles me that they turned this way. My grandparents raised us to be decent people. They decided not to be. It's so bad that my grandparents passed away without speaking to any of them. I grew up watching him make one mistake after another. No ownership or attempt to be better. My grandparents tried to help him, but he refused and said he was living his life the way he wanted. How can you help someone when he thinks he is right? My grandfather used to say that my father is weak, and I agree because I have no argument to say otherwise. I never expected to get anything from my grandparents. I'm grateful for what they left me, and I still would be if they left me nothing because they did more than what they should. I already knew that I will not get anything from my father, financially or emotionally. The same with my mother. Our relationships is superficial. It has been like this since I was a kid, but I won't worry if she ever stops and leaves me nothing. It is her right. The same with my father. In the end, I take what I'm given, and I can agree with you that I'm also entitled. So, it was 2.5 months after that post that Opie came in with another one that was titled, "A Little Family Mess and My Father Strikes Again." But now, he got more than he asked for. Some have messaged me for an update, so this post can be considered one, and then shared the original post and said, "After the last incident with my father, everything was quiet and my girlfriend and I left to Europe. Christmas passed and there was no sight of my father. My friends that were taking care of the house reported no incidents. Everything was going well until I received a call from my uncle, father's brother, on December 28th. My uncle called me to tell me he's leaving the state and is selling his house. He asked me if I was interested in the house because he was pretty desperate to leave. He didn't tell me the reason why he was leaving and I didn't care. What matters to me is that he was desperate, and this was the opportunity to fulfill my grandpa's wish. Before I continue, I have to give you some context. My uncle's house was my grandfather's childhood home. My grandpa gave it to him, but later regretted it. He left me the task of recovering it and, if I succeed, to give it to my cousin Marie, my uncle's daughter from his first marriage. He never recognized her, and that is one of the many reasons of my grandpa's regret. My uncle doesn't know that I have contact with his daughter or that I know everything that happened in the past. If he did, he wouldn't sell me the house. Yes, he is that petty. Now, I declined to use the family card and my uncle's desperation to get the house cheap. I know more or less the value of the house, so I made him an offer, way below the real value, but that I was going to pay him in 3 installments. My uncle declined because it was too low and because he is not coming back. What he really meant is that he is not going to contact me again. I told him that if he could wait until my return, January 3rd, I could pay him the same amount in one go. But I would also take care of the legal fees and his moving expenses. Meanwhile, he just needed to pack his things, have his paperwork ready, and everything would be done that day. Surprisingly, he immediately agreed. We returned and I could buy the house without problems, and my uncle left the same day. The next day, I called my cousin to tell her to come as soon as she can to my country. She lives in Europe, because there is one more thing that my grandparents left to her. She came a few days ago, and I gave her the house and the rest of the money. She had to stay a few days to deal with paperwork, and in those days, who decided to appear once again? Yes, my father. Unbeknownst to me, my uncle had another buyer, and that person was my father. My father asked my uncle to wait a few days so he could gather more money. When he got it, he called my uncle, but he already sold me the house. My uncle, in order to avoid dealing with my father, told him that I bought the house. My father, knowing that he can no longer approach my house, he decided to go to my new one, but he was going to receive a surprise. He knocked and demanded that I give it to him, but no one is in there for the moment, so he decided to break in. Yes, he did. We saw everything through the doorbell camera. My cousin doesn't speak our language, so I was the one who called the police in her name. Thanks to the area where the house is and the fact that my cousin is a foreigner, the police took action faster than the previous times. It is a pity that I don't have a photo of my father's face when he discovered that the house wasn't mine. It was glorious. My cousin, with my lawyer's help and mine, pressed charges, and combined with my father's previous actions, he will spend a few months in jail. Thanks to a few people, I was able to find out why my uncle was so desperate to leave. He pissed off his wife's family, like really bad. I sent a text telling him that if he likes ratting me out to my father, I can do the same with his wife's family, so he better not come back, unless he wants to play stupid games. He blocked me after that. Lol. He already told me he wasn't coming back, but I better make sure he doesn't. In the end, if my cousin decides to keep the house, this will benefit her since she doesn't want to cross paths with my uncle. So yeah, the year started off with a bang. I pretty much got rid of my so-called family for what I think is forever, and can finally start building one with my girlfriend, without the worry of unwanted people showing up. Someone said to OP, what did the uncle do to upset the wife's family? OP said he got drunk on Christmas and ended up fighting with his brother-in-law and his nephew, brother-in-law's son. And if that wasn't enough, he also punched his stepdaughter who was trying to calm him down. All this in front of his wife's entire family. The commenter replied saying, just curious, what was he charged or arrested? OP says none, which is why he was in a hurry to leave. The father's behavior in this is absolutely wild. Went from, let me live in your house rent free, to also pay for my European vacation and, host Christmas dinner with a very specific menu. It's just like he's in some kind of alternate reality, complete entitlement with no self-awareness whatsoever, and then ends up in jail for breaking in what he thought was his son's house but ended up to be the cousin's. Holy moly. But what do you guys make of this situation? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. Now our next story comes from Lowerbird78 from the Relationship Advice subreddit, and it says, my 46 female, boyfriend 38 male, won't let me end the relationship. How do I get out of this? My boyfriend James refuses to let me end the relationship. We've been together for a little over a year and living together since November. Before we moved in together, things were good. We lived in different areas, so most of our time together was over weekends. We get along well, talked often, phone and text, did things together, met each other's families, etc. If any issues arose, we talked about them and worked it out, which is why we decided to move in together. That's when things changed. After moving in together, he started becoming more and more clingy, wanting to spend every available minute together. He started staying home a lot. I work from home, and all of a sudden, we're constantly together. It started to become an issue, but when I tried to talk to him about it, it was my fault he was being that way. I wasn't giving him quality time, because being in the same room with someone isn't being together, just occupying the same space, so I made it a point to give him the one-on-one without distractions daily. It got worse. He started throwing tantrums. We get invited to go somewhere and last minute he'll decide he doesn't want to go, but says it's fine if I do. I won't be gone 30 minutes when he'll start texting me, and he'll text non-stop the whole time. If I stop answering, I get messages that will say things like, I won't be here when you get back, or you're not going to like what you find when you do get back. Then when I do get back, doesn't matter if I come back right away or hours later, he's crying and telling me how neglectful and dismissive I am of his feelings. At first I listened and apologized, tried to be mindful, but then his insecurity started. He started questioning if there was someone else. He said it was his insecurities, nothing I was doing, but it's better to voice them and have my reassurance than to let it fester. That makes sense the first time, maybe the second time, not the 15th time. We started arguing, because when exactly do I have time for someone else? We are never apart for more than 10 minutes. It just got worse. He started arguments over nothing. Nothing would be going on, nothing would happen. He'd just come in the room yelling. He's reading my journals. He either goes through my phone or has installed spyware on it. He questions me about things I've written in the journal or text messages, then tried to lie and say that he read it over my shoulder. This week has been the worst yet. We were out for dinner. He decided it was the appropriate time to discuss things in our relationship, in a very public, intimate dinner setting. We had been having a good day, no arguing, both enjoying the day, laughing not 5 minutes before this. I was immediately uncomfortable and very much on guard. I don't like airing my dirty laundry and he knows this. He insists on talking about it right then. I said it wasn't the place or time. He doesn't stop. I'm not engaging. After a few minutes of this, he decides we need to leave because my demeanor is making him look bad. Everyone can see that something is wrong and is making him look bad. We got up and left, without eating a meal that we already paid for. On the way home, I started to quietly cry and he started yelling. He was driving erratically and too fast. I told him to slow down. He slammed on the brakes from 77 to full stop in the middle of the interstate. Twice. We are lucky we didn't cause an accident and hurt other people. He wouldn't let me out. This went on the whole 2-hour ride home. I ended it that night, told him it's over. I'm not doing this anymore. The car ride was the last straw. He refuses to leave, says if I want him out, I'll have to evict him. He begs, he cries, he takes my keys so I can't leave. He threatens to kill himself. I don't want to go to my aunt's because she doesn't need the drama. I have no other family close. I have nowhere else to go. I can start the eviction process, but that takes a month or longer. He just keeps saying he can get better. I don't care if he can. I don't know what to do. Am I really going to have to deal with this until I can evict him? The police here won't do anything because he hasn't physically assaulted me. I tried a civil no contact. Judge said the same thing. I called a lawyer, same thing. Until he physically assaults me, there's nothing they can do to help me. How do I handle this? Now, we have an edit in a second where Opie's going to be talking about their past relationships. Within the talk is talk of a car accident where someone dies. So if you do want to skip this part, please feel free to do so. I'll mark it in the timestamps as edit and you can skip to the next part. Clarification. I've been married once. He was abusive, was sleeping with his first wife behind my back. Once my divorce was final, 2014, he remarried his first wife. She died less than a year under mysterious circumstances. 2 years after the divorce, he died of a massive heart attack. He has a son that I raised for years, that is 17 now. My boyfriend died in 2017. He fell asleep while driving home from work, graveyard shift, crossed the center line and hit a semi head-on. He was pronounced dead at the scene. He was a mile from home. The next one was in 2018. He cheated and an alcoholic. We split up October of 2023. I met my current boyfriend in December of 2023. I know not much time between the last two. Also, I'm not questioning if I should get out of this relationship, just how to handle this until I can get him out of my house. I own my home, so there is no landlord to speak of. I've called the police, a lawyer, and my county judge. All say since he hasn't physically assaulted me, there is nothing they can do to help. Commenter says to OP, next time he threatens to hurt himself, call the cops. He's not sorry. He won't change. You're in danger and need to act on it. It's not drama, it's your safety. Talk to your aunt and your landlord. Commenter says the quickest way to evict would be to get a protective order and request he be forced to leave the place. They don't get a 30-day notice. If he's a threat, he gets booted immediately. There's probably exceptions to that, but at minimum, it's worth trying. Opie says, I own the home. Will they do anything if he just denies it? Won't it just be my word against his? In which case, it's a civil matter and they won't do anything. Commenter says if he's threatening to hurt himself, having committed involuntarily. NYC Storyteller says, taking your keys is kidnapping. Start the eviction process and document everything. Keep calling the cops every time he does shit like this. He really could get you both killed pulling a stunt like that on the highway. Just because he hasn't hit you doesn't mean he's not an abuser. Contact the domestic violence hotline and get an advocate. And basically, everything those comments were saying, he's holding a hostage in her own home, and it's gone from like controlling behavior to downright dangerous, risking your life, slamming the brakes on an interstate. It just shows that it's escalating rather than getting better. And I would have strongly encouraged OP to talk to that aunt and let them know. If a family member came up to me and told me they was in this position, I would want to support them in any way that I could. You know, this isn't just air quotes drama. This is seriously dangerous. And I hope any family member that was in that position would be open arms if I was in a similar position like I would be for them. But it was 4 months after this that OB came in with an update and said it's been 4 months and thought I'd post an update. I took some of the advice and filed the eviction a week after my original post. I switched bedrooms and placed locks on my bedroom and office doors. I tried to stay calm and not engage in arguments. Did my best to keep things smooth until eviction. He was not having it. He would go from crying to talking calmly to yelling daily. The more I refused to engage, the more volatile he became. The more aggressive he was. If I didn't respond to him within 5 minutes, text or in person, I was ignoring him. Didn't matter if I was working, driving, doing stuff around the house, or just sitting at home. It was exhausting and I was just counting the days. Approximately 1 week until eviction, he was sending me texts while sitting in the same room as me. I finally told him I was going to answer another message. He sent 3 more long texts. I set my phone down and got up to leave the room. He attacked me before I got to the doorway. He knocked me to the ground, slammed my head and arm against the floor, tried to force himself on me, then headbutted me. Gave me 2 black eyes. After this, he took my phone, loaded his things into his car, and left. This happened on Friday evening. My cousin and a friend came to stay with me for the weekend. That night, my friend found a hidden camera in my fireplace. I took pictures and disconnected it. We spent the rest of the weekend looking for others. We didn't find any more, but did find a GPS tracker on my car. We also found my basement door that leads to outside had been tampered with. Also, my basement door leading into the house has a chain lock. Well, the bracket that is attached to the door frame had the screws clipped short and then pushed back into the frame, so that would hold, but with just a bit of pressure wouldn't hold, making the chain lock useless. I documented and took pictures of it all. He continued to call and make threats all weekend. He said he went back to his hometown, but I don't think he did. I think he sat in his car watching my house all weekend. The following Monday, I filed a no contact order through the courts. That same day, he was arrested on his way back to his hometown. Unrelated charges. I was granted the no contact order. He is still in jail. The last couple of months have been a struggle for me emotionally. I didn't realize how much of a toll this has taken on my mental health. I've been looking into therapy. Couldn't hurt any at this point. My physical injuries healed up. No permanent damage, just swelling and bruising. That's it. I've just been working on me. He's still in jail and I'm unsure of when he'll get out, but I'll be notified when he does get released. Thank you everyone for all the advice. I really appreciate those that answered and gave advice. Commenter says, I just want to chime in as a former law enforcement worker. You should move. See if you can talk to a victim's advocate and they can help you find resources to move. Sometimes there are victim funds that pay for moving expenses. Even if you have to move into a domestic violence shelter, you should not be anywhere he can find you. This kind of man is fully capable of killing you. Make sure law enforcement has all the details on the assault, your injuries, the trackers, everything. Because if someday you disappear, it will be his fault. Stay safe, keep vigilant, and I'm sorry this man happened to you. No Summer says, I just want to add, if you do buy a new house, see if you can set up the ownership as an LLC. That way your name won't be a matter of public record. And Physical Procedure says, please move. This has all the hallmarks of domestic homicide, I'm sorry to say. Please move. Domestic violence, trackers, cameras, GPS trackers, the tampered with basement locks just shows he was setting himself up for a way to get back in when he wanted to. And as sad as it is, and it shouldn't be the case, I agree with those comments about, getting out of there as soon as possible. The LLC, about the property ownership, so your name isn't on public record. All of that stuff I absolutely agree with, because let's face it, the guy is still out there. He's still just as unhinged. He ain't going to change anytime soon. And like I said, it's sad because OP shouldn't have to do any of this sort of stuff. And it's absolutely heartbreaking that she does. And another terrifying thought is, when he does get out, he's going to be out there again somewhere. He's going to inflict this on someone else. If not OP, he's going to move on to someone else, and someone else is going to get some more of the same treatment, and it's absolutely terrifying. I really do hope that OP looks after himself, continues to document, gets out of that space, gets some therapy, and leans on some support around her to get out of there as soon as possible, because that is absolutely terrifying. But what do you guys make of this situation? What would you do in it? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you for being here today, getting involved in the stories, your love, your support, your time. It always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.